beautiful description of the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Really very amazing description, actually. And it's coming, you could say, coming to its climax now with the beautiful face of the Lord. Everything about the Lord is extremely beautiful. Even just his feet. The feet of a regular person in this material world. The feet are not taken very seriously as being something very attractive. In fact, feet are normally not appreciated. So, having traveled on aeroplanes excessively, really excessively, occasionally it happens someone takes their shoes off. And I mean, many times other people around express dissatisfaction. Let us not get into that too much, but let us just say that I think it's understood that amongst materialistic people, the feet are not, at best, they're nothing special at all. And at worst, they're really, anyway, at worst, they're the worst, or just about. So, but when it comes to the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, every part is just so wonderful, just amazingly wonderful. Every part, including the feet. The feet are just amazing. There are verses, there are statements which make the point that if someone just gets just one little flash of a ray of light reflected from one of the toenails of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just a little glimpse, a little shaft of light for one of the toenails, that's the most wonderful thing compared to whatever else they may have experienced. Just completely in a class of its own. So if the feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are just so wonderful and glorious and worshipable, and as Lord Chaitanya said, if we can just become one speck of dust under the one of the feet of the Lord, it's the perfection of life. So if that's the case with the feet, then what to speak of the smiling face? Yes, it's just, by material standards, we cannot really begin to do justice in terms of trying to give some description which might convey to the audience some, like really substantial idea, really like an accurate idea which conveys what the face of the Lord is about, so that people would really understand. And then when they saw the face, having heard about the face in such wonderful ways, then when they saw the Lord, then they would feel, yes, this is what I heard described. It's not possible, even for the greatest poet. Yamunacharya makes the point in Stotra Ratna that if the greatest poet in the Western world, whoever that might be, some classic like Shakespeare, Keats, Shelley, or these types of people, uh, if some classic poet, the best, tried to describe the Lord, even for hundreds of years, and he says even for millions of years, he could not begin to really convey the picture of the actual face of the Lord appropriately. It's just, it's just beyond the scope of expression on the material platform, the scope of appreciation like this. And the feet are like that, and the face of the Lord, well, one would have to see the face of the Lord. Otherwise, as Srila Prabhupada points out in the purport, any attempt by imagination, it must fall well short. It must fall a very long way short. We cannot really appreciate how long a way, but a very long way. And therefore, we mentioned the other day that, and from time to time we mention, how when Lord Krishna was personally present 5,000 years ago, how when he was moving in public from time to time, people would see him, and even big warriors would see him, who are very, if we may say, beauty, and that's in that sense. It's one thing for a man to be handsome, but to say that a man is beautiful, in at least our normal, as far as I could say, our normal understanding of what the idea of beauty means, then men would not really be called beautiful. Women are called beautiful, at least some, but men, you don't really find the use of the word beauty. Like I said, handsome, that's all right. But beauty, that's generally considered something, must be, at least amongst people, is something feminine. Something feminine. But Krishna was so beautiful. But so beautiful that even when big, strong men are normally not thought to be, sort of on the effeminate side. But when big, strong men saw Krishna, even some big Kshatriyas sitting on their elephants or horses, they would become just so mesmerized by the beauty. His beauty made the most beautiful lady, exquisitely beautiful, if we want to put it that way, look just like, sometimes we say, like an ugly duckling, or just plain, I think you get the idea. And they would fall. They would become so mesmerized, they'd fall onto the ground. So, yes, we're talking about something which in ordinary terms can be truly called otherworldly. And Lord Kapila has been giving it's a very brief description. For example, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, in one of his books, in one of his books, it's a drama actually, he has Lord Krishna giving a description of Srimati Radharani and her beauty, and charging her a tax for every part of her beauty, otherwise they won't let her go past. And that description is considerably more extensive, and this is of Radharani's beauty, than this description that Lord Kapila has given of Lord Krishna's beauty. But as we were saying, there's no real question. There's no question of imagining that, well, the Lord could look like this, or he could look like that, or he could look like something else, meaning very, very beautiful, because we have no standard within this world. We have no experience within this world of anything that even vaguely approaches that standard of beauty. And therefore, because it's extremely difficult, if you yourself have to describe something that you have not witnessed or even really heard about accurately, for you to describe it, you can't do it. So the Lord's beauty here is compared to certain things in this particular verse. His eyes are lotus-like. His eyebrows are dancing. And the face, just the face in general, Lord Kapila says that a lotus which is the most beautiful flower, this is the general understanding, a lotus surrounded by swarming bees and a pair of swimming fish would be put to shame by the elegance of the face of the Lord. So anyway, we must carry on practicing. We must carry on practicing. And then in due course, Hare Krishna, in due course, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, then we can only pray, but in due course, according to what Prabhupada said, we will actually get that darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in that way be able to appreciate the standard of beauty, which at this point is more or less incomprehensible. Just like at the end of Madhurika Damani of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains the realization of the Lord, which comes to a devotee when they come to the level of prema. So he doesn't just realize the Lord. First of all, he may realize the fragrance of the Lord, just the fragrance. We will not talk about material fragrances, particularly of material bodies, just as they are. But the fragrance of the Lord for that devotee on the level of prema is so amazing that the devotee faints just by the fragrance. And then the devotee hears the voice of the Lord. And then the devotee faints again. Hasn't even seen the Lord yet. And then the Lord, in some subtle way, touches the devotee. And the touch of the Lord makes the devotee faint again. Still, the devotee has not seen the form of the Lord. What can you say? It's just... And then the devotee sees the form of the Lord along with the other experiences. And then the Lord floods the devotee with the Kripa Shakti, and the devotee faints again. So, well, Anyway, it's nice to consider these things as far as we're capable, because they can give us some inspiration that we must carry on, and what is coming. That it's sort of like we're standing on the edge of an ocean, and we are contacting the ocean because we're practicing. We're practicing Krishna consciousness. So it's not like we're just totally devoid of any awareness, consciousness of the Lord. But still, it's like we've just started entering the ocean. It's not like we've really gone in and we're bathing and just swimming and even drowning in the ocean of nectar of Krishna Prema, the ocean of nectar of the personal association of the Lord face to face. But still, we have something, and something is definitely a lot better than nothing. So therefore, when Lord Kapila, the point here is that at least for these yogis who are doing Sankhya Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, some sort of, hybrid form of yoga combination, the discussion has been about, of course, it's been applied to our doing deity worship, and in that way actually directly experiencing a form of the Lord or forms of the Lord. But these people, they're not seeing in that sense the form of the Lord. It's an internal process of meditation. But a point being made here is that the devotee the yogi, this Lord Kapila's type of yogi, must meditate upon the form of the Lord which is experienced by devotees. It must be real, actually a meditation on some bona fide conception of the Lord, even though it's internal. Yes. So therefore, either they've had some very high realization already, or they have actually seen the Lord in the deity form, more likely, or even actually seen the form of the Lord directly, seen the Lord directly. But it must be real. Otherwise, if it's just imagination, that, maybe like this, and I heard something like that, and in this way, sort of, cooking up somehow some form of the Lord internally in the mind's eye, the possibility, the danger of misconception is too great. It's just too great. Because, as we said, to conceive of something you actually have no experience of, to conceive of it accurately, how are you going to do it? Especially something which is way beyond your experience. You can't do it. And therefore I've seen personally with my own eyes, in other, processes, attempts at God consciousness in ways other than Krishna consciousness, sometimes they try to portray the Lord, and sometimes the portrayal is that he's very old, like extremely old, sitting on a cloud playing a harp. In some cases, it's just, when I saw huge throne, really gigantic, with some person sitting on it, obviously an extremely big, like including very heavily built person. But you can see there's some very vague outline in certain areas. Actually, it reminded me to some degree of the last verses of Ishopanishad, which we were just studying, where the devotee, the personified Vedas, they're seeing the Lord, but the Brahmajyoti, the effulgence of the form of the Lord, is just dominating the scene. So they cannot actually see the form. And they're praying to the Lord, please let us see through the Brahmajyoti and see your actual form. So this is Manomayam, as Prabhupada says. Manomayam is a type of form, even deity form of the Lord. Prabhupada mentions deities can be made from clay, stone, wood, paint, sand, etc. Etc. includes within the mind. There are 8 types of forms of the Lord in terms of what they're composed of. So Manomayam is one of them. And as Prabhupada says, this is a carving. Manomayam is a carving of the form of the Lord within the mind. A carving of the form of the Lord within the mind. And it's one of the 8 sort of standard types of forms of the Lord in terms of composition. Yes, so these people then that Lord Kapila Dev is talking about, they in order to do this meditation which has been described, they must have had some real experience of the Lord, like seeing deity forms, or perhaps having had some realization. Yeah. For ourselves, of course, this is talking about the deity forms of the Lord. We have here Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Giri Govardhan, and this is our meditation. We must remember these forms of the Lord and pray to them for their mercy. Although, of course, our appreciation of the deity forms of the Lord is greater than the appreciation of particularly like real non-devotees. When they see deity forms, sometimes they just discount them as being of no consequence at all. For the devotees, the practicing devotees, the deity forms, they're very beautiful, of great consequence, and very dear to the hearts of the devotees. But in due course, if we continue to practice nicely, then our appreciation of the deity forms of the Lord will increase and increase and increase. And yes, until we actually see the deity form of the Lord in these types of terms as being stunningly beautiful, absolutely stunningly beautiful. So keep practicing and praying for mercy. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anyway, sorry about it, just becomes difficult. Sorry about the gap. It becomes difficult. And I have to get involved in everything.